Warm welcome to all of you. I will initiate our session 7 today. Let's understand, some of you would be new to this session because I see sometimes new participants and sometimes, those who are regular. Again, this is Anubha Walia, your trainer come facilitator, actually with a great experience onto the HR domain and into the analytics. It gives me an immense pleasure again to connect with you, and thanks to ISTD for this, right? Okay, so I'll not go very much deep dive because it is all there on the screen, and most of you actually exchanged the notes with each others about your trainers, about your faculties, and ISTD. So again, the tips and the hygiene, we will have the chat box activity. We might, so in the post lunch, I might, or else in this session, depending on the requirement and depending on the how session is flowing, but I have got one case study for you and we'll go into the breakout rooms. So in the last session, I remember that the case study was actually exciting, enhanceful, full of knowledge, learning, and gave you a perspective how to use it in your corporate world, right? So today's session, I'll highlight on the HR scorecard. HR scorecard, something which will go very much deep dive. The reason is this is something where you can actually showcase, outshine, in your corporate environment. Because in the last session, we did talk about the strategic intervention, how HR plays an important role. And we don't have to do the basic of administrative work, but we have to act as a change agent in our setup, right? So my session will highlight on this. Before I start, because we are talking about measuring the right things, which is very important to understand whether we are talking about any kind of matrix. We need to ask these questions, because I have identified specifically, I'm giving an example for the recruiting metrics, which we highlighted on the day 3 of the section, that will everyone who see them understand what they mean. Now this is one prime question which you really need to understand, because when you ask such set of questions, you will get the people all on the same platform, so that is very important. The second is, have they been compiled cooperatively based on dialogue between recruiting and internal stakeholders? So as I'm talking to you about the recruiting metrics, so definitely your internal stakeholders and your recruiting people know whether they have done it in a great manner, whether they have collaborated well, they cooperated well, they coordinated well. This looks very easy, but trust me, there was a lot of challenges I have seen, because the data which gets reflected is or it gets interpreted in a wrong manner then. So we all have to be in sync with each other. Then we have, does everyone agree what they are, that they are important? This is again one thing I always ask, how important is their role in a particular department, particular job, particular vertical or particular criteria. Because what happens is every individual contributes to a great extent in a manner that leads to a betterment for the organization. So we really need to understand that they should be felt important, and they should agree that they are important. Okay. Then do you speak directly to recruiters, hiring managers, executive management objectives, and so on? So if we are talking about recruiting metrics, then we have to do that. If you're talking about L&D metrics, which is on the, let's say, training, then we have to see from the training department, training managers, those who are L&D professionals, or CHRO. So we have to see it accordingly, the requirement. And you have to directly speak to them, understand their need, understand their objectives, understand their requirement, and then work on that. And this can be easily accessed and compiled consistently and accurately. Now here I will say, you need to ask in a manner that, can they be accessed, easily accessed? Because I'm just going to start another project with one of the big multinational in a manufacturing setup. It's a Japanese based firm, and they want to have a data metrics approach in their system. So they have software from HR1. So they are a great provider. So in the second session, I did talk about various software tools you can use. So this company has the basic things like attendance record, the basic HRIS information in that particular platform. But the moment it is about the PMS and about the LMS, this is not in place. So here we will be acting as a consultant to them, and me and my team actually started understanding that whatever things which are available, is it accurate or not? Because the processes are there very well in place, but how many people are actually having that data in the correct manner or not, and what kind of data we need to actually generate if they go into the software mode, because they really want to do analytics for the future basis, because huge changes are happening in a current scenario, if you will see, after the pandemic. So that is where the importance has to be taken care. Okay, so what we will do and understand here today is the aspect of HR scorecard. So HR scorecard, it was first published by the Becker and Ulrich in 2001 in their book. And I think it's a must read book for everyone, because it's really help you to share what exactly that scorecard is all about. So one of the key problem of HR is that HR has been actually facing in the past, I would say a decade, is the perception that HR doesn't add to the company strategy. And you all will understand this. I have seen very less organization, actually HR professionals, contributing to the strategical intervention. So indeed, HR directors in many organizations are often still looking at for a seat at the proverbial, that is a board table. So in many organizations, HR has failed to do so. So they don't come up to the board level, they just do their day-to-day practice, what has been done. So in this book, if you will read, my suggestion is, as an HR professional, or even if you are not an HR professional and you are into the L&D or into the different zone of HR, because HR itself is a very big gamut altogether. Some are specializing in succession planning, some are in career planning, some are just on MDP, some are on L&D, some are on talent management, talent assessment, performance management, personal management, grievance handling. So it is not related to one particular thing, it's a big chunk. So as I always say, HR is a very important department, I would say. So HR scorecard is a strategic and HR measurement system that can actually help you to measure, manage, improve the strategic role of the HR department. So if you can come up to that level, that shall be the real insight to your role. So this book can actually give you a flavor of this, but we'll try and understand here today. So HR scorecard is meant to measure the leading HR indicators of business performance. So you need to figure it out, what are those indicators which you really want to outshine at, and want to know that which indicator the people are actually leading. So those leading indicators are the measurement that predict future business growth. And that's why HR deliverables, and it becomes much easier, because sometimes it becomes very difficult to coin it and share it. What did HR do, what was the HR contribution? Whereas in the sales, we know that this much of numbers were there, this much targets were there, and I have achieved this much of target. And same way, so this much of expenditure was there, we have saved this much, and you can actually put it into the measuring element. HR is one department where you will find it is most on the variable component, and that is why you have to put everything into the deliverable mode, which is a measuring mode. Okay, so the key is also known in this is called HR matrix, and more specific, I would say HR KPIs, key performance indicators, and as they are a part of the matrix which gets linked to your business strategy. So what they say is the steps towards creating an HR scorecard. Now that is this, you will see there are 5 steps to it. The first step is we need to create an HR strategy map. Okay, so once that map is there with you, you identify the HR deliverables. Okay, so the first one is map, the second one is deliverables, then the third is creation of HR policies, processes, and practice, and that we will understand in a very detailed manner. Then we will align the HR system. So HR systems, how does it work? How it's going to implement by understanding creating HR efficiencies. Now, when we talk about this, so what there is basically, let's start with the first approach, HR strategy map. Now, I have given you one is the strategy map, and giving you with an example. So a large European shipping building company is looking to become a most innovative organization in the sector. Okay. Now, in this external market, low cost shipping building projects are increasingly moving to, let's say, Asia. While the Europe builders are the go-to for the technological advancement ship like Navy vessels and super yacht. So for this reason, the high innovation ranking is tremendous important to the company future competitiveness. Now, to identify how HR can connect this business outcome, the one can actually create a strategy map, isn't it? Now, this strategy map actually will help you to identify how HR is going to drive the business outcome. So, the question here is, what HR practices drive the strategy goal of the company? You will need to find an example, and you have to create a specific for the respective functions. Okay, and you will see you need to identify how HR can connect this to the business outcome, and how you can create also with this the strategy map. Okay, you will question here the HR practices that drive the strategic goal to the company, and as I'm mentioning here, the processes, the financial element, employee growth, strategic approach. So this strategy map, if you will see, the company's strategic uh, goal is to go on the top. Okay. Now here the HR will actually has to identify its the contributors to this particular goal, and these contributors, let's say they have to hire more qualified professional, and there the role of the recruitment professional recruitment department will come in. So the way we do this is through becoming a more attractive employer in the competitive technical shipping and labor market by Kumkum, can you hear me?
Yeah, ma'am. Now I can hear.
Can hear you
Okay.
now.
All right. Yeah, Arun sir, I'm joining. Not a problem. ठीक है, start कर रही हूँ. Okay, sorry, group. My light is not there. Suddenly it has conked off. It's raining very heavily in Delhi, so my video would be off. I am resharing my screen, and I think we were at the recruiting strategy map, right? If I am not audible properly or I'm missing out something, I would request you to please use the chat box and share that. Okay. All right. So I think as I was mentioning to you about the HR strategy map that we have to use. So as I was mentioning, the goal of the company is to be on the top. And let's say we get in touch with the recruiting department, and because we have to be on the top, that means we need to have the best of the people to be able to help us to achieve this particular goal. So the role of the recruitment would be here to share with us and hire such set of people who comes with that kind of qualified profession, qualification. Now the way this to do becoming a more attractive employer in the technical shipbuilding labor market. And there is a decrease in the time it takes to hire a new employee. There could be a lead time. So this specific company was quite the lead time was becoming very big, too much, and they were losing out candidate because of this. So to measure this, the HR deliverables, or the KPI got created. Okay? So when the KPI got created, now this HR scorecard example, which shows that how the strategic goal actually can be measured. Now, for an example, the lead time is measured as the time to hire in days, which is currently, let's say, 38, but has to be decreased to 25. So that they can give the improvement of, if we calculate this, it will turn out to be approximately 34 to 35% improvement. Okay. Now, using this strategy map, if you will see, which is there on the screen, the HR scorecard example here, the company has now, they can actually identify the leading measurements for business success. Now, in this case, becoming a top employer and improving the quality of hirer, which is the satisfaction score of the manager, let's say after a year, they are the leading indicator of the success in the achieving the business strategy. So you will find, to make this very clear indicator, the HR department knows that an increase in these two deliverables will lead to a company's goal of becoming more innovative and giving HR a very strategic role. So that's why decrease in the lead time was the first one. And the second KPI was attracting more employer. These became the process. Okay. Then it will lead to the decrease in the recruitment cost, which will reflect it in your financial element. Now that financial element will lead to employee growth by hiring more qualified professionals, and that more qualified professional will lead to most innovative organization in the sector. So this how on the 4th step of strategic map, a recruitment strategy map, you will see and understand that how we changed from KPI in an element by putting it into a matrix, and that entire matrix get reflected through your scorecard. So the role of HR is not limited to a very small thing. Let me tell you, it is a very big picture. And if you can, pen down the strategy map, it will be much easier for all of you. Okay. So as I shared, the first very approach, what we do is create an HR strategy map, and then the second is we have to identify HR deliverables. Are we clear on both of them?
I have a question on the strategy map, if I may.
Please बताइए.
हाँ, ये जो strategy map है, is this kind of a standard which is followed by all organizations, like the four, metrics: strategic, employee growth, financial, and process? Are
हाँ.
they always same with organizations, or these are
Mostly. So
can
I'm
vary?
just, so I'm going to come to it. Very good question. So what I would, share, some organization put it, in a this manner only. The first is a process, second is a financial, third is a growth, and the fourth is strategic. I have been using it, so that's why it becomes easier. If I show you my next screen, see, in my next screen, is it visible to everybody?
Yeah.
है ना. So अभी आप इसमें देखेंगे, I'm sorry I'm using Hindi here, but
No problem.
है ना. So you all can relate here कि एक हमने रिक्रूटमेंट स्ट्रैटेजी की बात करी और उसी से रिलेटेड मैंने आपको एक HR स्कोर कार्ड का भी एलिमेंट बताया, ठीक है. सो हियर व्हाट वी आर डूइंग इज वी आर मेजरिंग द डिलीवरेबल्स व्हिच इज द KPI are created, and these KPI, as I can show you in the scorecard, and these scorecard which actually give you an example, that the lead time is measured as a time to hire in a days, okay, which is in this I gave you 38 days. So the target is to reduce it to 25, okay, which means I'm looking at 34% of achievement. So if you see the KPIs here are in, here I'm mentioning. So the first is position in the sector wise innovative benchmark. The score is 5. My target is to become top 3. Okay? My second KPI is the time to market for last 5 new product in a days, which is 121 days. I want to target it at 95. The third one is satisfaction score of managers after 1 year. That is quality of hire. Okay? So they should be the satisfaction score of these people should increase from 70% to 85%. Now, how will you do this? You will do this by doing a survey, or you will do it through a force group interview, or you can also do through a one-to-one interaction. The fourth one is recruitment cost in the dollars. Now I want to reduce the 4 million which I had spent. I want to now spend only 3.5 million. So that is the recruitment cost I want to reduce. Time to hire in a day. So I used to take 38 days, but now I want to make it 25 days. Another is acceptance ratio in percentage. When I say acceptance ratio in percentage, which means from 70% to 90%. Okay, so the top employees benchmark, that is from top 40%, I want to move to the top 20%. Now, if you will see all of them, if I've given you very clearly, the strategic one is related to the position and the time of the market. Can you see this line? ठीक है. The same very way employee growth कैसे पता चलेगा मुझे? Through my satisfaction score. मुझे फाइनेंशियल्स मैंने कितने इंप्रूव किए, आई विल गेट टू नो थ्रू माय डिक्रीज इन द कॉस्ट. एंड मैंने प्रोसेस में 2 चीजें ली हैं. मैंने बोला एक लीड टाइम क्लोज को कम करना है, डिक्रीज करना है, और मुझे अपने बहुत अट्रैक्टिव एम्प्लॉयज को अट्रैक्ट करना है. सो दैट इज अनदर वन. सो every element, if you will see all these 4 of them, this strategic map actually gets converted into your KPI here. Okay, and that KPI, एक आप उसका करंट स्कोर निकालोगे कि मार्केट में करंट क्या चल रहा है, आपकी इंडस्ट्री में क्या चल रहा है, आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में क्या चल रहा है. ठीक है, क्योंकि ये वाला जो कॉस्ट है ये तो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कॉस्ट है ना, आपकी खुद की ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की. सो दिस इज योर इंटरनल, and then acceptance ratio is also internal, and then how you can further improve it. That is your target. And once you convert this into your target element, these indicators actually will become much easier to give you a deliverable idea. Are we good? I hope I gave you the answer here now.
Yeah, so basically the KPIs can vary at a larger extent from organization to organization.
Very true. So आप ये देखिए, in most of the organization you will find, so HR department will have one KPI. ठीक है. Then within HR department there is a different division will have a related to that KPI. Then that division will have role based KPI, and then based on those role KPIs we will have individual KPIs. So you will, end of the day, you will see that each KPI of individual will get culminated to a department, then to a respective, entire role. So this is how it goes.
So under a department, like if you have HR here, HR, you have a HR recruitment strategy under which you have a HR scorecard, which is like an umbrella. And you can generate, more scorecards like a training scorecard or any other,
वो
scorecard.
L&D के अंदर आएगा.
अच्छा,
तो
that won't come under it.
हाँ, ये मैंने बात करी आपसे किसमें, रिक्रूटमेंट स्ट्रेटेजी मैप बनाया
राइट.
L&D नहीं बनाया, ठीक है. ऐसे ही L&D का बनेगा. अब L&D के अंदर आप अलग डालोगे. सेम वे आई विल हैव इट फॉर परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट स्कोर कार्ड, राइट. सेम वे आई विल हैव करियर सक्सेशन रोड मैप, development plan roadmap. So there are so many people who have, wear that hat of HR, but which particular role, which particular job they are identifying and doing, that is important. Correct?
Right.
Good. Okay. So now the third element, as I talked to you about here, the first one was creating an HR strategy, then HR deliverables, now creation of policies, process and practice. Okay? Now this element of the scorecard is actually concerned with the policies, processes and practice, where you will look into which can ensure the HR is successful when it comes to the key deliverables, as we've understood. So the idea here would be that HR should create a number of high performance work system, okay, which we call it as HPWS. I'm putting this in a chat box for all of you. HPWS, okay. I am repeating this word, high performance work system. So high performance work system is a group of separate but interconnected HR practice designed to enhance the effectiveness. Now, in the previous example, which I quoted, the deliverables includes a decrease in lead time, right? I also talked about a high ranking in the top employees benchmark. Now, these deliverables can be supported through these three things: policies, processes, and practice. So the policy could be the strong employer branding policy will help in building a strong reputation that will help in becoming a top employer. Now this could be the policy. Now ab iska process kya hoga? The process would be key to decrease the lead time will be an optimization between how recruiters and managers communicate. So often at times it's been seen that managers take actually a long time to review resumes and plan interviews with the candidates. Now changing this slow process into the workflow actually can guarantee a next very action, and can actually decrease the time to hire with the days which has been shared on sometimes a week, whatever the organization plans. So this is one of the many processes you can actually implement to enable a better performance on the HR deliverables. Let me give you another example, application process for candidates. Now the candidate experience will be a vital to, it could be a vital to attracting a top candidates and ensuring a good rating to the top employers benchmark. So this is another way. Then we have, we talked about policy, we talked about process. Let's understand what is practice. Now this looks at the specific practice that the actually HR achieve the deliverables. What is that something uniqueness that they did, for the achieving those deliverables. So creating policies, process and practice actually can create a synergy if you refer to it as a bundle of practice. These practices act together is to create a synergy for the HR deliverables, and this actually becomes a core focus for your next steps towards the scorecard, which actually align HR system. So if I have to put it in a simple manner, there is HR system. I'm using the chat box. From the HR system, you go, there is a HR scorecard. I'm making it a reverse manner. Okay? The HR scorecard will have HR deliverables. Okay? And these HR deliverables actually coming up with the various, different best practices, right? So you have a different practices that leading to it. Sorry for my spelling error, but I'm just using it, for you all. So, let's, if we put it in a reverse manner, if we have a great practice, that becomes our deliverables. That deliverables is reflected in our scorecard, and that becomes HR system. Okay, so that's why you will see that we need to align our HR system, and we need to create the HR efficiencies. Now, the system alignment actually is not about software system. Okay, it is rather about aligning the different HR practices to create a synergy. For example, let me give. So the employee branding effort should focus on the type of workers that the employer is actually looking for. Now, in addition, decreasing lead time by rushing through the processes may lead to a lower quality of hire, which can result in a mismatch between what HR is doing and some of the goal it tries to achieve. So, there could be a challenge. So here, we need to align our HR system, which is a key performing on the HR deliverables. So you need to be creating an HR efficiencies. Traditionally, if you will see, HR used to get focused on a lot of creating efficiencies when it comes to creating an HR scorecard, and some efficiencies you will find have to be thrown out of the windows. It says it's not that very great, let it not use it. The simple reason here is to that, if I can give you with an example, is a higher quality of hire, your cost to hire someone might go up. Sometimes for some department goes up. The quality of hire in a strategic HR measurement could be another one. So investing money into increasing the quality of hire is well worth, but we have to see the output to it. So that's why we need to align both our HR system and the efficiency together. Now, there was when one of the participant today, when asked me that, are these standard templates? So these scorecards actually are called HR balance scorecard. Okay, balance scorecard is a very beautiful concept. It is a strategic intervention, and it is not a performance intervention. So a lot of confusion has happened in the past. There's a lot of research had taken place, and you will find that this balanced scorecard as a concept was given by Kaplan and Norton. Okay, it was somewhere in 1996, I remember. And you can read the Robert Kaplan and Norton's book on the balanced scorecard. They work on the 4 perspective, and these perspective I have given it to you on the screen. One is financial perspective, one is process perspective, which is internal business. Then we have custom will be 100. Okay, so so what they say is we need to add certain set of weightage to each scorecard in each perspective. So for an example, if we all are working in one organization, let's say we all are working with ISTD. Okay. And ISTD plans to follow these 4 parameters. One is financial, one is process, one is customer, and one is learning. And then together we decide, okay, let's give 40% weightage to the financial. Let's give 30% to the process. So hamara ho gaya 70, 20% to customer, and 10% to learning. So the total turns out to be 100. Okay. So The scorecard basically, it's a there's a common, again, a misconception, which is that HR balance the HR balance scorecard is usually get mixed up with the HR scorecard and a balance scorecard. So kindly do not mix up with that. The balance scorecard, as I said, as when it was published by Kaplan and Norton in early 90s, the books which got published, you will find that balance scorecard actually, as I mentioned, is a strategy performance management tool. It's a strategical intervention. It is not just the performance management tool. Okay, so it lists all these four perspectives, and it is a very good overview of the company which tries to achieve the company strategy. So as we know that the HR strategy follows the business strategy, and so as the HR scorecard is heavily influenced by the business scorecard. Now, the HR scorecard actually takes the strategy, they say it's defined as balance scorecard as the starting point, and then identifies the HR deliverables that drive these outcomes. However, there is a saying that we do keep into the mind both the different set of documents. It could be related to the balance scorecard or it related to the HR scorecard. Now, in this, if we have to create this scorecard, so I'll give you a live example of when I was working with ICICI. So financial perspective, we used to have target orientation. The goal was how many retail business we will do, how much corporate business we will do, and further go into the deep dive of the goal, that how much we will do the saving accounts, how much we will do the current accounts. Okay, I'm just giving you a hypothetical figure. So that is to be the goals. Then we have identified how we will measure. So we had given the business numbers to it, that you have to achieve this much of percentage. So to measure that, we, for each goal, we had a different measurement percentage. So if we identified that 40% was for the financial perspective, those 40% then further used to get distributed for, let's say the retail business will give it 20%, corporate business we give it another 10%. So I'm left with another 10%. That means I say, let's say third party business, we do another 10%. So 40% actually culminates here. Same way for the process talks about the internal, which is how much you deviate from the internal processes which you have. So the organization has identified the approach of critical request and the service request, right? So this used to be the internal process. Now in the internal process, for an example, there's a customer and they come for an account opening. Okay, so the process says the turnaround time for this would be 7 days. Okay, 7 days the turnaround time is. So in the process, ideally the account should be open in 7 days. The person is not any branch is not able to open in a 7 days, it is to hit the balance scorecard of that particular person or a particular branch or a particular region. So that goal which we identified to keep it as a 30%, the same way. So service request percentage, let's we give 10%, and critical request we give, let's say 20%. So that's why it will boils down to 30% in total for the process. Same way we had for the customer perspective. In the customer, I remember we had one was customer focus scorecard. So customer focus scorecard used to be the scorecard which used to get published, where there used to be a mystery calling to the customers, and there was a data which is available, and there is a department who used to reach out to the customer and ask, okay, sir, you visited this branch, we are going to ask you 5 questions and you have to rate us on that. And based on those mystery calling, the score used to get published, and it used to hit the scorecard of the customer. Then there used to be another aspect called last one is learning perspective. Okay. Now learning perspective is, we decided that every individual in an organization should be actually uh, learning and doing 4 man days. Okay, so 4 man days is basically the training programs they have to attend, and as we gave it 10% to the learning, so what we did was 8% was for the mandates, the 4 man days, and was the weightage, that is 8%, and 2% was e-learning program that they were supposed to do. And we were very successful, and I still remember in 2005 when I joined ICICI till 2010, I could actually contribute to the different parameters of scorecards, variables, that is the goals. And with the help of my zonal head, we could see the how the changes in this scorecard happened based on the strategy of the organization. And I remember that every time there used to be a new set of vision, new set of goal which used to set every year, we used to change a minute difference into the goals, that is your deliverables, and it used to get highlighted into the scorecard. So the same very way the HR scorecards becomes really important. So I hope this is clear. Is there no audio right now? Okay, all right. So thanks, Prabodh. You could share it. Would you mind just reinstating what I have shared about these things? Anyone can just reinstate so that Neelam can understand.
Actually, there are four broad parameters which revolve, around which this balanced scorecard concept revolves. So you gave example of ICICI Bank. So first one is financial parameter, which had the major weightage. So the other one is so financial would include the target and the business part of it. Then would be the customer part, wherein the customer feedback would be taken into consideration. Then the process part, so I'm not repeating the weightage, because the weightage would differ organization to organization, and where customers feedback is more important, then customer feedback would take front seat and financial would take back seat. So I'm not repeating the weightages. Customer feedback, one broader perspective is customer. Then there is process, the process which is being followed in the organization, how the process is being followed. Probably the audit part would also be included in the process part. Then there is a learning part, wherein the employees are encouraged for completion of certain mandates or certain modules of learning, which are actually critical in nature, so that at least those things are captured in the learning part. So these are the four broad parameters around which this balanced scorecard is there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Prabodh. You really articulated pretty well. So I hope, Neelam, now this was audible to you and you understood this concept. So what we'll do right now is, I'm going to share some critical areas which are like HR predictive analysis takes place. So one of them is turnover modeling, right? So turnover modeling, actually, if you will see on the screen, it's basically predicting future turnover in the business unit in specific functions, geographies, by looking at the factors such as commute time, time since last role change, performance over time. So a lot of turnover modeling actually comes up, and it is being predicted for the future. There is another one which we call is targeted retention. Now, targeted retention focus on the high risk towards the churning in the future or the focus retention activities. When I talk about risk management, here the candidates with a higher risk of leaving prematurely or over those who are performing below standards, this could be a one problem. And there you will find a lot of prediction happens. Then we have talent
Sorry to
forecast.
interrupt in between,
Yeah.
but this is Andrela Mukherjee.
Yeah.
I would like to know, when you say critical areas for HR predictive analytics,
Yeah.
and you have rightly quoted as risk management, I would like to know more about this particular concept in details with HR examples, HR
Right.
per se.
Okay, so when I did the session on the recruitment analytics, where there we did talk about in detail, but so so many times profiling of candidates with high risk of leaving prematurely or over those performing below standards. Now, what happens is a lot of prediction has to be done specifically to know why people are leaving the job, what could be the reason of people leaving the job, what kind of profile do the people leave the job, right? This can be known through your data, and that data needs to be analyzed and monitored very regularly. I remember in one of the organizations, sorry I can't quote, when we were doing a consultancy project there, there was the attrition rate was touching to 37%. It was quite high as per the standard, because standard says somewhere around 16 to 18% is the normal standard for people leaving. Now, when we did the analysis, we identified that the people, those who are leaving the job, one is they are not postgraduate. That was one learning. And then the second was that they were in the age bracket of 23 to 25. Now, the moment we did identify that, there the prediction that we used, and then we worked on the prescriptive element that we always say. So what we did was we got to know that people tend to leave because probably they want to go for a higher education. So this, the prescription was applied, and we told them, ki, why don't you start nominating or identify the people who can actually go for higher studies, and you can give them the respective benefit. And for 6 months they did that. They identified the performers. One, they opened it for everybody, that those who have worked for these many years, they can go for a higher studies, and we will be sponsoring your tuition fee. Trust me,
Yeah.
it was a big success. The attrition went down. So right, so this is how it works, and you have to figure it out. Same very way, why people are leaving when they're not performing well. So then there was another analysis we did. We got to know. So there the balance scorecard, we were using it very strongly. This was again in one of the organization, again as a consultancy project. And we identified the people who were not performing well was not that they cannot contribute, but because they were not mentored by their bosses. Okay, so then when they were exiting and when they had left, so we got in touch with them after a month, and we understood why did they leave. And then we checked their performance. We had those scorecard. We checked their day-to-day incremental approach, and then we realized that mentoring from the seniors was not very deep dive, and then that is why they were not able to perform pretty well, whereas they were doing pretty well otherwise. And finally, this organization did backward attrition. So backward attrition is when the people who have already left, they can, the organization can take them, back. So based obviously on the lot of parameters the organization takes care, whether it is on their ratings were matching as per the organization standard, or they were being promoted or not, and how much were they contributing to the organization growth. So this is how you will find that things were falling in shape and people were using it.
Okay,
So
there are four pointers which you have mentioned, no? Turnover modeling and targeted retention, risk management, and talent forecasting. So these are in perspective of, recruitment, attrition, and yeah, the talent acquisition part, and whatever the exit management and all these things. If I come to the point of learning and organizational development, so could you just quote a little bit of examples, like, risk management in terms of training? So what all things or what all criterias we should, first proactively think of, and then we can go into managing and all this stuffs.
Okay.
So
All
yeah.
right. So here, when I talk about learning and development, you have to understand the roles and the critical role in that particular job. Suppose I am in a financial sector. In a financial sector, the criticality is any information getting leaked. Correct?
Right.
Second example again could be, if I talk from the financial sector, how if we are able to let me put it a very great example. Jan Dhan Yojana,
Right.
during the Modi's government initiative. What happened was, the initiative started from 15th August, and I still remember, I think it was supposed to be done by 28th of August. So the beautiful thing was, the role of HR will come, because there were new recruitment started happening. We had to train them very fast, and then people had to give the currency, they have to deposit the currency. In that, you will find the fake currency also coming in, mutilated currency also coming in. You will also find how to do the initiative of the processes. Whenever the people will come, they also have to open an account if they don't have an account. So in that case, what was happening was, the training had to take place, and you will be so surprised that HR became very vigilant and very
Your voice is not audible.
shall I rejoin again? No,
Yeah.
is this
Now it is audible. So
audible?
it was now it is audible. Yes.
Okay, good. Please tell me on, on the chat.
Yeah, your voice is cracking a lot. Yes.
Thanks for this. Okay, so as I was mentioning today, is it a bit better? Okay, is it going fine? Okay. I will speak slowly.
Yeah, no clarity of voice.
So that we understand. Basically, what happens is, oh, okay. 2 minutes, I'll rejoin.
Yes.
And rejoin.
Yes. Okay.